How's everybody doing? This is the CIA PDF, which is called, this is the CIA PDF called Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process. It was on June 9th, 1983. They have another paper that was in 2003. And this is breaking news from Popular Mechanics. The declassified CIA report scientists tried to move consciousness beyond physical realm. December 11th, 2024, published. Now, do you see this? This is declassified, right? Right here. Document shows that throughout the latter half of the 20th century, CIA had some interesting ideas on how to obtain intelligence. They have already broken the blood-brain barrier. They're using graphene that has been sprayed in the chemtrails. That is the conductive. They hacked the conscious mind back in the 1950s. I did a whole paper on it, how they were able to go ahead and break the blood-brain barrier. Did you hear me? Introduction. In order to describe the Monroe Institute technique for achieving altered states of consciousness, the gateway experience involving brain hemisphere synchronization or hemisync. The most effective way to begin is to briefly profile the basic mechanics which underlie operation or related methods such as hypnosis, transcendental meditation, and biofeedback. Because we've all been breathing in smart dust, we are like me, Richie, a lot of other people have been saying, we are like walking antennas. However, okay, you have had to have something actually introduced into your flesh. They just waiting on 5G towers all over Earth so they can connect it to all the quantum computers and their ritual sites and the stadiums and all this other stuff. The graphene, the smart dust, the particles that we've all been breathing in, as long as you have been introduced to, let's say, a injectable nano tube or something like that, if you have that and have taken anything to do with that type of materials or elements, then you can be activated through millimeter length, especially with the upcoming 6G, the Internet of Senses.
You'll see these going up all around your local town, city. This is part of the 6G technology moving forward. That's a microwave frequency weapon. People might think it's great that we've got faster internet and you can download films in 3-4 seconds, but all this is microwave energy and it's cooking us.
Lights out, boys and girls. They got to turn off 5G. Reboot the system to bring up 6G.
Imagine experiencing the internet with all your senses: touch, taste, smell. This is the Internet of Senses. The Internet of Senses integrates technologies like haptics, augmented reality, and virtual reality to engage all our senses in the digital world. It's the next level of immersion, making the internet truly interactive.
Also, during Obamacare, they passed a law that any device or any bioactivity or material that they were going to use in a human being had to be tracked and traced. If you go back on Obamacare, they were talking about how the devices would have a tracking number on them and also a barcode. So go look that up. Do you see this? Is the Internet of Senses. This is not a concept anymore. This is coming with 6G. 5G was only enough to get things rolling. In order for the activation of the next civilization, which they can create a new civilization if they create a new language, and they did create a new language. They have a computer language, and so I digress on that. So the sensory technology that they already have. They are in the year 2045. They're 20 years ahead of us in technology. You will be able to smell, feel, touch, hear, and taste. This is augmented reality. They cannot run that without 6G, but 5G is not ready. They have to build these huge data electrical centers in the middle of nowhere. And they have to build these in order to truly run 5G on Earth everywhere. It is now the physical transformation of the human race into Homo graphians. Okay, Homo graphius. Homo graphians. This is the graphene. This is what everything is connected to. When they turn on the 5G, I don't know what's going to happen.
You see this article from PubMed.gov, 5G technology and induction of coronavirus in skin cells. These are all the doctors that wrote for this. In this research, we show that 5G millimeter waves could be observed by dermatological cells acting like antennas. How many times have you heard me say barium, strontium, aluminum are exactly what you would use if you wanted to turn a living, breathing being into a walking antenna?
In the biological destruction, there are the organized tempests on the magnetic fields. What will follow is the contamination of the bloodstreams of mankind, creating intentional infections. This will be enforced via laws that will make vaccinations mandatory. In these vaccines will make possible to control people. The vaccines will have liquid crystals that will become hosted in the brain cells, which will become micro receivers of electromagnetic fields where waves of very, very low frequencies will be sent. And through these low frequency waves, people will be unable to think. You'll be turned into a zombie. Don't think of this as a hypothesis. This has been done.
Very upset in the courts because they needed 5G to run this. They needed 5G to run this entire operation. Everything is waiting on 5G. Yet the challenges of the Internet of Bodies are not purely legal in nature. The social integration of the Internet of Bodies will also be seamless. As bits and bodies meld and as human flesh becomes permanently entwined with hardware, software, and algorithms, the Internet of Bodies will test our norms and values as a society.
Article right here. I've had this for a couple of days, but I wanted to get this article to show you first. These guys are going to keep stretching this out because they're not done putting the 5G up, like I've told you I don't know how many times.
And so normally, right before an extinction level event, many of the people that's living in the time of the civilization of that time, they start writing on rocks and petroglyphs. That's why we have all these writings and pictures on rocks, because many generations, right before the event, they lose their conscious minds. Okay, they are no longer in charge of their own free will. And this is what's happening now.
Is a nervous system that is overstimulated by artificial inputs. We are scrolling, swiping, clicking, and reacting. Our brains were never meant for this much input. Being alone with no music, no internet feels almost unbearable. And modern neuroscience shows us that without deep, undistracted focus, our brains can't transfer short-term experiences into long-term memory. It's like our lives are now being written in disappearing ink.
And so anybody who may have had any type of device put into their body with hydrogel or any type of nanotechnology, medical biomedical device, including if you have a rod or anything, they were all being tracked and traced. They have identification numbers on them, okay? Once they get 5G up and running all over Earth, then they will switch on 6G and you will automatically be in augmented reality. You will have a sort of an avatar. It's an Agenda 2045 and they're 20 years ahead. Watch this girl, what she does with her hand. Do you see that? Do you know what that's called? That's called Spray On Smart Skin. Uses AI to rapidly understand hand tasks. This is just more 6G. You'll be immersed. A seamless immersion into the system and into artificial intelligence.
It's about 50 meters long on this single spool. So this spool has trillions and trillions of carbon nanotubes that are all aligned in the same direction along the axis of a fiber, and they're very well packed. And because of this structure, we now can translate the amazing properties of carbon nanotubes, which are nanoscale properties. We can now translate it onto an engineering fiber, which is something that we can handle on the macroscopic engineering. Because of this structure, we now can translate the amazing properties of carbon nanotubes, which are nanoscale properties. We can now translate it onto an engineering fiber, which is something that we can handle on the macroscopic engineering scale. For a
Video today showing how bad they were chemtrailing, but look at this. See this in the trees? It's everywhere. And before people ask, there are no manufacturing plants here. Simply a Budweiser storage facility. You seeing that? Well, Richie, those are spiders.
Or to find a new model for human development and create not simply a new civilization, but a new mankind. Historic crises show that to break the deadlock, we need technological revolution. It is clear that today's revolution will also require the deepest social transformation. The world's community and leaders should encourage mankind, instead of wasting resources on solving momentary problems. To focus on the technologies of the future: nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, cognitive technology, genetics and robotics. Doing so will allow us to find new sources of energy, create fundamentally new architecture and transportation, allow unprecedented developments of human cognitive abilities, refine artificial intelligences and brain-computer interfaces, simulate complex systems, create humanoid robots and cyborgs, and with the help of nanorobots, we may develop manageable matter. Find ways to transfer one's personality to an artificial carrier. To break the deadlock, the Russia 2045 movement was founded. It is a mega project intended to reach new heights and meanings. We intend to create a new vector for civilization. Android robots to replace people in manufacturing tasks. Android robot servants for every home. Thought-controlled avatars to provide telepresence in any place of the world and abolish the need for business trips. Flying cars. Thought-driven mobile communications built into the body or sprayed onto the skin. 2020 to 2025. An autonomous system providing life support for the brain and allowing it interaction with the environment is created. The brain is transplanted into an Avatar B. With Avatar B, man receives new, expanded life. 2025. The new generation of avatars provides complete transmission of sensations from all 5 sensory robot organs to the operator. 2030 to 2035. Rebrain. The colossal project of brain reverse engineering is implemented. World science comes very close to understanding the principles of consciousness. 2035. The first successful attempt to transfer one's personality to an alternative carrier. The epoch of cybernetic immortality begins. 2040 to 2050, bodies made of nanorobots that can take any shape arise alongside hologram bodies.
Right here, as they show you in Profusa, this thing is going under your skin. It's going to be connected to sensors, and it's going to be put into databases that can be read, controlled, and monitored from remote locations.
Here's what happened. I had a dream. I wasn't even awake. I had a dream about a porcupine. I was receiving discernment from God unconsciously, and I have been doing that since birth. But I had a porcupine in my dream, the discernment from messenger, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. I woke up, and guess what? The porcupine was on my Google feed. I wasn't even awake. It freaked me out. Later on that day, I'm about 40 minutes from downtown. I was driving downtown. Are you ready? Now, I know this isn't, that spectacular, but a porcupine walked in front of my truck for the first time ever. And I've been coming here for 4 years. Out of the clear blue sky, a porcupine walked in front of my truck. I'm telling you. So if you're a targeted individual and you're gang stalked or just be careful, because sometimes your thoughts aren't your own. Now, could this have been the Holy Spirit? I did receive an amazing message that day and discernment. And so that could all have been the Holy Spirit.
But Dan has gone a step further where he said it's literally reading your mind.
These are everywhere. This is fibers that come out of your body. They can also come out as big red bumps from inside your veins if you have vascular problems. This is what was in the chemtrails. This is nanotechnology. Okay, this is the self-duplicating. These are called nanotubes. Some of the effects that come from different types of frequencies and quiet wars, okay? They have all kinds of appear on your head. If you get into a certain frequency, they can actually give you silent, violent itching inside your eyelids, forced manipulation of airwaves, including internal controlled forced speech, induced changes to hearing, both apparent, forced memory, blanking, and inducing erroneous actions, reading and broadcasting thoughts, controlling your dreams, forced waking visions, some synced with body motions, microwave hearing, transparent eyelids, artificial forced movement of the jaw, clacking of teeth. It sounds like stuff that, the clacking of the teeth is kind of odd, only because it's like zombieism.